Hey guys, Swordbrine here today, bringing you guys another YouTube video. And today's video is Sonic vs. Shadow. Who would win? Now, this is kind of an interesting one to say the least. Most people on my channel think that Shadow could beat Sonic if my comment section of the stick fight video tells me anything. But is this true? Well, for the most part, most fans agree that Sonic in his base form is stronger than Shadow, and it's not until Shadow takes off his inhibitor rings that he is able to beat Sonic. And I will admit, with his rings off, Shadow is stronger than Sonic. But the thing is, Shadow is already pretty close to Sonic in terms of power. And honestly, I don't think Shadow could beat Sonic if he took off the rings. And I'm gonna go as far as to say, if he took the rings off, that would be stupid. Let me explain. Shadow can't just take these rings off all willy-nilly like. If he could, he would take the rings off every time there was a tough challenge. It takes a lot for Shadow to take his rings off. Plus, his full-powered state isn't like an impossibly big power increase. Let's look at 06. In the game, Team Dark was fighting Mephiles multiple times, and then when Mephiles summons a whole bunch of clones, Shadow takes off his inhibitor rings and is like, okay, I'm out of here. He doesn't fight Mephiles when he just took off his inhibitor rings, meaning two things. Either A, the clones are too strong for Shadow, which I don't believe based off of their previous performances, or B, there's too much clones for Shadow to take down, and he would have lost all his energy before he was able to finish off Mephiles. And I think this would happen if Shadow fought Sonic. Sure, for a while after Shadow took off his inhibitor rings, he would be able to curb Sonic for a bit, but Sonic would still be standing by the end of Shadow's onslaught, and Sonic wouldn't have much difficulty defeating a Shadow that can barely stand. And if this fight went into super forms, then they would be, well, since Sonic is stronger in base, he would be a bit stronger than Shadow. And even if Shadow did take off his inhibitor rings, they might not even make that big of a difference. I mean, Shadow didn't even take off the rings when he was fighting the final Hazard, so I don't think the inhibitor rings really have an effect on the super forms. And if they did, Shadow would lose too much energy, and then Sonic, who is still in his super form, would win even easier. So yeah. Now, this isn't to say Shadow is weak by any means, and Shadow can push Sonic to the limits if they fight. But it's not because of the inhibitor rings. In fact, Shadow and Sonic fought in Sonic Chronicles, and even though Shadow lost to Sonic, he didn't even think once of using the inhibitor rings. Why? Because they do more damage to himself than good. Now, according to the Archie comics, which aren't canon to the games by the way, Shadow just uses them to hide his true power, and isn't even tired after using them. So, let's say for a minute that Archie comics are canon and Shadow can take his rings off whenever he wanted to. Then that would mean either Shadow is really retarded for not using them against Sonic and Sonic Chronicles, or he knows that even if he uses the inhibitor rings, it wouldn't change the outcome of the fight, and Sonic would still win, which would mean Sonic is far stronger than Shadow, which, if you really want to look at it, it does make a bit of sense, because in Sonic Forces, Sonic wasn't even scared a bit to fight Zavik, Chaos, Metal Sonic, and Shadow all at the same time. So maybe saying Shadow isn't even close to Sonic isn't that much of a highball. But in all honesty, I don't really think that Shadow is far weaker than Sonic. Like I said, I think Shadow can push Sonic to his limits. So, yeah. Overall, Shadow wouldn't use the inhibitor rings because of the aforementioned power drain that Shadow has. If the fight goes into super forms, the inhibitor rings wouldn't do much. And since Sonic has the higher base form power, Sonic would be stronger than Shadow in super forms. So, yeah. Sonic would still win, but of course, it'd be a challenge. But it always comes that time of day when I have to say, bye!